Just Energy Radio with Dr. Rita Louise. What am I made of? Why do I get sick? How can I live a more balanced and whole life? These are just a few of the questions that will be explored tonight by your host, naturopath, medical intuitive, and clairvoyant, Dr. Rita Louise. Call in and talk to Dr. Rita and her thought-provoking guests. Get the help you need to move beyond any obstacle or challenges affecting your life right from the source. And now back to Just Energy Radio with your host, Dr. Rita Louise.
Hi, and welcome back to Just Energy Radio. I'm Dr. Rita Louise, and we're going to be starting the second hour of our show where we have a special guest, Carol Barbeau, and we're going to talk about, can astrology help you? And I have to tell you, I've known a lot of astrologers in my day, and this woman knows her stuff. And so please, if you have questions, call in at 888-863-2722 or send us an email at justenergyradio@yahoo.com, and we'll take your questions on the air and answer them best we can. So let me tell you a little about Carol before we bring her on the air. Carol Barbeau is an author, teacher, astrologer, NLP counselor, and her studies have always had one goal: assisting others to live a happier life. Her belief that nothing is stronger than free will is also supported by the belief that we can more easily flow with the tides than against them by using astrology, numerology, and positive thought to change our reality, and that astrology is our map. So, Carol, are you with us?
I sure am. Hello.
Hi, Carol. Thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. I have been looking forward to having this time with you for a while.
Well, I have too. This is going to be fun.
So, this is where I want to start. I think everyone, in the general sense, is familiar with astrology. We've all read our horoscopes in the newspaper, like I'm a Leo. And so I'll open up the newspaper and see what my little thing is for the day. But is that really all there is to astrology, or is there more that can be learned about ourselves and the direction our life is taking by using astrology?
I think there's so much more than the sun sign. When I teach it, that's one of the last things that we look at, because there's so many other things going on, predestined kind of traits that you bring with you from that chart, and I think they're life lessons. So the sun sign is what we're striving to become, not necessarily always what we are, especially in our childhood.
Okay. So, I always joke around because, I'm a Leo and I have this big hair thing, so I'm just striving to have big hair and be a Leo.
Well, I know Leos who have to have hair extensions, so I don't think that. And I have strong Leo in my chart, and I wish I had great hair. So I wish it were that easy. But Leo is about heart energy, so the one thing that I would bet that you would agree with is that your life doesn't work well when you're not in alignment with what you feel strongly about.
Maybe a little bit. I'm not going to admit that on the air.
The fire signs are about passion. So Aries and Leo and Sagittarius are trying to hook in to a passion and to an enthusiasm. And while some of the other signs, like my own, I'm a Libra sun sign, can kind of plug along for a while, the energy of fire says, if I'm not getting fed, I don't grow. The energy of air, which is Libra, is, and Gemini and Aquarius is, if I don't learn, if I don't keep communicating, if I don't do that, I don't grow. So there is a vibration to our sun sign, but there's also a lot of other things that go on. I think if you don't take time to be well, you take time to be sick, and that often shows in an astrology chart of people who overwork, and they've almost put that into a chart. So that's a great help when you see that. There it is in black and white. This is my lesson that I need to learn to take time to be well this lifetime.
So what about like the earth signs and the water signs? You know,
they're getting
basic things.
They've had a very interesting couple of years because we're having eclipses in Virgo, which is earth, and Pisces, which is water. So if you've noticed that things aren't quite going, earth is about building, and so if you've noticed the things you're trying to build aren't going maybe exactly according to plan, it's because when you have strong water energy come in, it's about opening to divinity and opening to divine intuition and opening yourself to maybe getting and building something more than what you planned. And with the earth signs, because they have a plan, it's often a big lesson time for them to have to move into that. Okay, I thought I wanted that $1 million lotto, but maybe I'm supposed to get a $10 million lotto. Maybe there's something better in store for me. So it's been a very...
For some people, that can be a big lesson.
Absolutely. Because we get so locked on one thing, focused on, I have to have this or this person or this job, when maybe that's the thing that's blocking us from where we really would truly be happy.
Well, we already have a caller. We have Linda
good.
from Florida with a question.
Okay,
Linda, are
great.
you there?
Yes. Hi, Dr. Rita Louise and Carol. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you so much for calling. How can we help you?
Oh, I hope you can help me, Dr. Rita Louise and Carol, if I can have your inputs from both of you. I appreciate it. I'm a Virgo. My moon sign is Gemini. My birth date is 9/10/1952, Carol. I'm a 1-year, and I take numerology and astrology. I look at it as God's roadmap. It's a guiding. I don't believe He just puts us here on Earth without any guidance. When 2007 approached, I made a little book of all the things I want to work on to be a better person, and I felt I was going to set the world on fire. In a good sense, manifesting very good things for me. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm procrastinating. I feel like I'm a rudder stuck in mud. I'm working very much on my spirituality. I'm working on cleansing, letting go of old issues, trying to manifest, but I'm not putting it into action. Kind of, Dr. Rita Louise, what you were talking about your previous hour. I'm not taking responsibility to make the change, and that's out of my character.
I'm going to give Carol a second, and I'm just going to respond.
Okay.
I just get the impression that some of the things on your list are things that that either you're not supposed to be working on right now, or things that you can put on the back burner. It's like I'm feeling like the first thing that you should be bringing in are the things that you're really passionate about. And so look through your list to find the passion things and the, like cleansing. Okay, cleansing's a good thing, but I'm feeling like that's not on your list of passion, and that will come as things start moving along. Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely, because cleansing, is very hard. It's gratifying, but it's not an easy thing to do. You know what I'm saying? When I'm talking about cleansing, I'm working through issues. I'm doing a lot of crying. I'm sorting things out. I'm looking at it as a different perspective. I'm thanking God for the lesson learned. And Dr. Rita Louise, I'm talking issues from 30 years ago.
But we were talking about that in the last hour, that for some reason with 2007, old stuff is being just put in our face to deal with. Things from like, well, I was 3 when that happened, and now I have to deal with this. Carol, do you have any input for Linda?
Well, part of it is universally 2007 is a 9-year of completion, and we're supposed to be rolling all of that old junk in to get rid of it. So in 2008, when we roll to a 1 year of new beginnings, even though you're in a 1 year right now, the universe isn't yet. So in some ways, you're a little bit ahead of the game here. And because the eclipses are so powerful in Virgo, And in Pisces, that's going to be affecting you in a very real way in areas of your birth chart, if not, numerology. So you're a little bit a leap ahead of things. Is a part of this. And another thing is there's one more final eclipse pattern to happen. They happen in pairs of 2, late August, early September, and then you're done with this pattern for a lot of years. But Saturn is entering Virgo, so it's almost like the shift I feel is in the fall for you. I feel the fall will be huge.
Oh, Carol, you're so right on that. I'll tell you why. I felt I was behind, and I was so worried that I'm not on target. I'm not where I'm supposed to be, and I feel like I'm procrastinating. I could have so much more accomplished than I'm accomplishing, and I feel like all I'm doing is doing nothing but working on issues, but nothing physically. When I'm talking physically, that was part of on my list to do some changes in my home, to sell my home, to relocate, go back to school. So it's my spirituality is number one, but I wasn't doing the other part of doing this physical activity to make things happen.
It's like you're at the train station and the train hasn't arrived yet, so it's what I'm doing.
So it's okay. So this is normal for me right now because I then misinterpreted this one year. I thought this was a year where I'm supposed to really be. So I am progressing, but I don't realize how much I'm progressing is what you're telling me?
Absolutely. You can't help but hook up into the universal energy of the 9, even though you're in a 1. So you're trying to do your one brand new things, and I hear you discounting work that I think is the hardest work that we ever do in life. I think it's easy to move compared to rehashing all your history and making emotional, mental, and physical shifts on that. It's a lot easier to pack your stuff and go down the road than it is to do the inner work.
And I totally agree. I mean, doing emotional clearing, it's like, okay, so you might be crying a lot, but that is much, much harder work than, like Carol said, going and doing the physical stuff. And so even though you're not doing things in the physical realm, it's like, it's not that you're not doing anything. You're doing a lot. And sometimes we have to clean out the garage so that we can have a clean space to move into before we can actually get into that space. And that's what you're doing, is cleaning it out.
You know, the beauty of it all is it's very hard with the cleansing, but at the end, I have a different perspective, and I can thank God. I do thank God. I see things differently, and I go, well, if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't be the person I am today. But then I thank God that I understand it now. I understand. I really know the true meaning. Everything happens for a reason, and I'm so grateful that I'm getting the lessons. I'm learning my lessons that I'm supposed to learn. Might have taken 30 years.
And I think by October, as Carol was saying, if you turn around and look at this phase that you're going through right now, you are going to see the total benefit of it, even though in this moment it might be hard and it might be challenging, especially you have this energy of go, 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 and you're not. And maybe that's part of the lesson, is how to just appreciate being as opposed to going.
You know, in all honesty, too, I think I'm going through a midlife crisis. I think, 54, I'm not where I want to be. I'm thinking of going back to school. I feel like I don't have enough skills. I'm like, why did I wait so long? And why did I procrastinate? So I think a little bit about the midlife crisis. I'm getting hung up on the age, too, is in all honesty. So
there's an aspect that happens from 50 to 55. There's a Chiron return, which is the planet of old wounds, and it returns where it was in your birth chart for the first time in your life. And it's a time to identify, dismember, remember, and heal those old wounded patterns. And subsequently, we shift these patterns. And we're completing also with something called secondary progressions, a second round of identifying some key emotional karmic life issues. So it's a very powerful time, but it's also a time when we're really kind of looking at everything in our life, taking it apart and seeing now we think maybe there's more life behind us than there is ahead, and we want to utilize every moment of it.
Well, I think I'm just going to keep the perspective of keep on trying and be the best person I could be and be hungry for growth.
That's wonderful, Linda.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's wonderful. And I would make one suggestion, Linda.
Yes.
When you say you're going to try to do something, it isn't. Just keep on doing, because I think you're doing.
Oh, I already signed up for your newsletter, Carol, and
wonderful.
Rita Louise, and I did also for Michaeline. Thank you. You had 2 awesome shows so far tonight, Dr. Rita.
Thank you. Thank you for listening and calling in, and we'll talk to you again soon, okay? Bye, Linda.
Bye, Linda.
Okay, Miss Carol. How's it going for you?
It's going just fine for me. This
Great.
is a little bit of a different way, but if the cats will just quit playing with my phone cord, we'll be just fine. So have you felt the energy of this last couple of weeks, feeling like maybe you're kind of wading through mud a little bit?
It has been like that since the beginning of 2007. And actually this last couple of weeks, I'm actually starting to feel some clearing, thank God, because it has not been particularly pleasant for me.
Well, a part of it is that universally the Romans set a calendar which really isn't in alignment with the universe. So technically, if you really look at it, March 20th, as the sun went into Aries, was the beginning of the new year.
Interesting.
If we were set up with the heavens in divine order with the sky, Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, and that spring equinox on the 20th of March is New Year's, truthfully.
Well, I didn't think about that, but that makes total sense.
I think that's why we kind of drag through January and February every year going, why is it not going the way that I want it to go? Because we're still really winding up some old energies.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask a question.
Fire. I'm sorry,
huh?
that fire feels good to you, I bet.
I'm like, I know that whenever I've done my chart or had my chart done, I've only ever done a natal chart, which is based on the date, time, and location that you're born. But there's something called a progression. And can you kind of talk a little bit about the difference between, what a natal chart is and what kind of information you get from that, and then looking at what a progression is, or, is that even the right word?
It is one of the words. It's not a word that, truthfully, clients know about very much. So when you do astrology, there's a natal chart, and then there's transits, which are planets visiting you, trying to upgrade you, or trying to stop you, or move you in a different direction, or whatever. So planets by transits are what astrologers usually talk to clients about. But secondary progressions move very slowly. There's 30 degrees in a sign, and the sun only moves 1 degree a year, and Mercury only moves 1 degree a year, and the moon only moves 1 degree every 4 months. So, and some planets don't move really at all in your birth chart until you're about 60, and maybe they've moved 1 degree, the outer planets. So it's what I look at to see when there's going to be an internal shift for someone, or if the secondary progressed sun is going to a new sign. It can be a major life transit that all of a sudden that person's, what they want in life becomes something very, very different, and they think they're going a little bit nuts, but it's kind of like they've been upgraded to the next sign. So secondary progressions are something astrologers look at for their clients. And when I start to explain it, even to, students that have been through into intermediate astrology with me, they kind of start to glaze over because there's a lot of math involved in it. And any way you look at it, you're a Leo. That is your soul's path. But the fact is that these shifts come along and add a dimension. So from Leo, the next sign would be Virgo. and then the next sign after that was Libra, because we go elements. So you're fire, and the next element is earth, and the next is air, and then the next is water. So we roll through those elements in progressions, and that sometimes creates a desire for, say something goes to water. All of a sudden, you're dreaming, very vivid. You feel like you've been downloaded into the Twilight Zone or something. And when it goes to fire, as mine did about 8 years ago, my secondary progressed sun moved to Sagittarius, I just wanted to get a motorhome and go. It was like some incredible wanderlust came upon me. So you'll feel them, but you probably won't really know unless you're sitting with an astrologer trying to learn astrology.
Well, then, then maybe the word, we got on this whole talk about progression, so maybe the word that I was really looking for were the transits. I mean, because I've had charts. I knew this one astrologer that worked at a psychic fair that I used to run in Washington, and you'd come and he'd look up your natal chart in his ephemeris, and he was a trip because he would put his fingers down on the table for the different planets in different signs and make this little hand configuration. And then on his other hand, he would do the transits. I mean, I thought it was progressions. Okay, I'm not an astrologer. And then he would lay his hand over his hands and start doing this reading. I mean, it was kind of trippy, but you could just see the wheels turning in his head.
Well, we're moving to Earth. That's, we've been water everywhere, water disasters, intuition, watch the TV programs, and we're moving into an Earth energy this fall. Saturn for the first time in 29 years into the sign of Virgo, Jupiter for the first time in 12 years into Capricorn, Pluto for the first time in 280 years into Capricorn, and this is anchoring in what's going on. So, the movie The Secret and people working tangibly, real people on, by real people, it's not like we're not real people, but
no, we're realer people than the real people.
Normal people out there in the world are getting this movie, and they're getting the idea, and they're talking different and they're thinking different. So that's a part of Earth. I've always thought that levitating was kind of a useless skill unless maybe you could levitate people out of a burning building or do something with it. And that's the energy that's coming in, not just about the woo-woo end of this, but, okay, if this exists, how can I use it to make my life better, the world better, my city, my town, whatever.
Well, that's a wonderful thought.
It is.
And so what you're basically saying is it's going to take the energy and ground it, basically.
Absolutely. And then the other part is that astrology does not, or the sky or the universe, doesn't have a sense of right or wrong. So people who are perhaps going the other direction may ground that in a little bit more also. So this is a really good time to be doing like Linda was and doing your internal processes, because if you're going to anchor in whatever is going on with you, don't you want to get rid of the things that you don't want to anchor them even more firmly into your psyche or your body?
Well, it just seems like people have just been going through their paces this year. Last year was all about upset and things turning around and turning over, and I've had more friends that have had family and people die and car accidents and just craziness. And this year it's turned from external things to real internal, and I've just had people looking at their ugly.
Well, and you're going to find there's still some locked in that first part that you were talking about. When you roll to a 9-year...
Hey, Carol, we need to take a break.
Okay, great.
Okay, so I'm Dr. Rita Louise. This is Just Energy Radio, and we'll be back after our sponsors.
Just Energy Radio with your host, Dr. Rita Louise, will return right after these messages.
Are you sensitive to energy? Want to explore the world beyond the five senses? Looking for a new career as an alternative healthcare practitioner? Then the Institute of Applied Energetics, Medical Intuition, and Energy Medicine training programs may be right for you. Our comprehensive curriculum provides students with a deep understanding of how to detect, evaluate, and transform the subtle body. It also provides techniques for correcting energetic imbalances that may underscore a person's ability to experience radiant health. So if you are sensitive to energy or want to understand the energetic systems that contribute to health, contact the Institute of Applied Energetics right away. Be a catalyst for changing the way healthcare is done around the world. Visit www.appliedenergeticsinstitute.com and start your new career today.
Are you feeling stuck and unsure which way to turn on your path? Do you lack focus and direction in life? Do you feel something is missing? So what do you want? A better job, your dream home, more money, your ideal mate? Dakara has practical tools to assist you. Schedule a session today to get clear about what you truly desire to deliberately create the life you want. For more information, visit manifestingconsultant.com or call toll-free 1-800-813-3877.
The Digital Revolution is here and it's happening on Hello World. Our comprehensive web-based digital media platform allows users like you and I to create robust streaming video, email, as well as webcast our message around the world from 1 to 100 viewers while simultaneously recording our webcast for continued on-demand play. Hello World, connecting people and changing lives. For more information, contact me, Tracy Joe, at HelloWorld.com or go to my website, www.hellowworld.com/Tracy Joe.
Are you involved in a new relationship that seems too good to be true? You know, there is an easy way to find out who you're dealing with. For over a decade, America Find has provided its customers with information to make faster, safer, and smarter relationship decisions. Their background check service is a quick and inexpensive way to feel more secure about all your personal and professional relationships. America Find will empower you with all the resources you need to check an individual's background and credibility. So before you say, I do, or hire a new babysitter or nanny, call America Find. Know what you're getting into before you invest your heart, your money, or your time. Call us toll-free at 888-256-2155, and in less than 30 minutes, we'll give you peace of mind. Let America Find tell you the truth.
And now back to Just Energy Radio with Dr. Rita Louise.
Welcome back to Just Energy Radio. I'm Dr. Rita Louise, and tonight we're speaking to Carol Barbeau about astrology. And so if you'd like to call in and talk to Carol, maybe get a little reading on the air, the number is 888-863-2722, or you can drop us an email at justenergyradio@yahoo.com. So Carol, I have a good question for you, and I'm sure you have heard this one before. Does astrology predict the future?
No. It shows a doorway, and then you have control of whether you want to go through that doorway or not. It only shows the way the tide is going, not that you have to put your boat out and take it out with the tide. So is that... I was really firm on that, wasn't I?
You were, but, I really appreciate that. As opposed to, being just fluff about it.
I think that I've heard too many people try to say, oh, well, I have this fixed square in my chart and I'm cursed, or I have this or that and the other. And any good astrologer has studied the charts of Abraham Lincoln and George Washington, and anyone who's achieved anything have rough charts. They have rough astrology charts. So I'm not really in alignment with the fact that just because something is a rough time means that you're not going to grow tremendously from that time or that energy. I don't think we're fated. I think we have openings even to die. There's a variety of spaces and times and doors that open, and we can go through or not go through.
But, you know, I think people that have a rough chart, like I had this one friend that I had did his chart. I mean, not that I put myself in your league at all, trust me, but, you know, I like looking at the patterns. I like looking at, like, the oppositions and looking at the flow of the planets on the chart. That just really speaks to me. And this man had all oppositions and squares. That was his entire chart. And, you know, he had a lot of junk that he had to work through, but he just kind of took everything, you know, in turn and worked on himself and he didn't allow the obstacles to overcome him. He overcame the obstacles.
And
and I think that's
the strengthening. Yeah, that's the strengthening. That's the strengthening aspect of a chart. You know, every full moon we have an opposition. The sun and the moon are opposed to each other. The moon indicating past or emotional patterns, and the sun indicating where we need to shine. And every full moon, every month, we have that going on in the sky. So, and oppositions give you a different point of view. Squares are a lot harder. It's kind of like you're sitting someplace in a room and you hear somebody talking off behind your right shoulder or your left shoulder, and you can't see them and you can't quite hear what they're saying. So all that requires is you turn around and take a new perspective, look at it from a different perspective, is what a square is. So it doesn't allow you to just sit there like a trine or a sextile. Those are aspects of ease, you know, where you can see what's going on. So square means, okay, if I want to hear or see who's saying that behind me, I've got to turn around and find that person to hook into it. So those people are constantly having to make adjustments. And I've never seen a chart that didn't have a couple of squares, but I've seen some that had a lot. And those sometimes have been some of the greatest people on this planet, too.
And I think with people that have really difficult charts, you know, they kind of go to either end. It's either they step up to the plate or they allow the pressure to run them over. But then again, I've seen people that have had great charts, you know, everything's moving, you know, there's not really a lot of, you know, difficult aspects in their chart, and it's almost like it's too easy, and so they don't put any effort in, and so they don't do anything.
Yeah, Ted Bundy had a beautiful chart.
Get out of here.
Yeah, and look what he did with it.
And that's why he didn't get caught for a long time, right?
Absolutely. It is. He could make people like him, and he could go with the flow, and he had luck working for him a good deal of the time. So that's why I said that the universe isn't really kind of into right or wrong. And who knows, maybe he chose to be Ted Bundy this lifetime, and maybe he's an elevated soul who chose to teach us a lesson. You know, I don't put judgments on it. Just, you know, I look at when I do a chart, I look at the best that could come from this, and then I ask the client what's going on. And that tells me if they've hooked, what flow that they've hooked into. And I've always...
All right, so now I want to go back to Ted Bundy a second. Now, you know, you got my interest peaked here. So was there anything, I mean, I know this would be in a hindsight kind of way, but was there anything in his chart that would indicate his tendency or predilection to killing
something
people?
With his mother. His moon had some strange stuff going on. So something with the mother. I know we always get blamed for everything with the kids. You know, that's probably not what anybody wants to hear. But that is, you know, there was something going on with the mother. So human sexuality is a strange thing, and little boys imprint in very different ways than little girls do. So it could have been something that he saw or whatever that just turned him kind of askew. So a good astrologer has studied all kinds of charts. I often say a client sits here and says, my mother died, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. And then what day was that? There's this part of you that wants to keep learning so that you can perhaps know when something's going to happen again. Not maybe death, but for some of my clients this year who lost loved ones, it's been the most beautiful experience of their life because they've sat there and they've walked that path and they've resolved old issues, and there, it seems there's even a new way of doing that with people. People are doing things and they don't even realize what they're doing. They never read a metaphysical book, and because I worked until 1995 in a traditional healthcare system, I have a lot of pretty linear people that come to me that never pick up an astrology book or do alternative medicine or anything. I have some pretty mainline clients, and I'm seeing that shift with them. So to me, this is bringing spirit to earth, this energy that's going on right now. And I keep saying energy because that's what it is to me, is energy.
It's all just energy, girl.
I guess it is, isn't it? But it's sure been turned up a notch or two, hasn't it?
Yeah, but that's good. And I didn't even think to ask this, so I'm going to ask it now. But another piece of astrology that I don't even think many people are aware of or familiar with is the fact that, a good astrologer can take two people's charts. So, like, if you're met some new guy and you want to see how compatible the two of you are, an astrologer can look at both of the charts and kind of overlay, like I said, I'm not an astrologer, and look at how you guys would fit together, or like you were saying with Ted Bundy, some issue with his mother, so I'm assuming that there was something between their charts that had weird stuff going on.
Absolutely. A relationship chart, the way I do it, you do like 6 charts, but one of them is an aspect grid where you look if your moon's trine, and that means your emotional energy flows smoothly, and Mercury, which is about communication, if you have an opposition, that means that you have to shift a little bit. So
and that's to the other person's
to the other person, yeah, because you both have needs. And you're never going to find that person exactly like yourself. But an astrology chart can tell you that. But I'd say probably a third of my business the last year has been relocation or astrocartography. Everybody is looking at moving. And I'm not sure that all of them need to be moving physically, but the urge to move, we always think, okay, let's just pack up everything and find a new place to live, when often it's really something else that's going on. So I'm pretty honest with clients of saying, I feel this urge to move, and do you have to move physically, or is this something we could do on another level? So,
I had one of those charts done before I moved to Texas, and it was kind of interesting because my Saturn line ran right through Dallas.
Oh, wow.
Right through Dallas, and I was like, okay, well, I guess this move is going to be about focus.
And Saturn is the planet of power and control. So when you move onto a Saturn line, if you get your little nuts lined up in a row, you get to be, more in power, more empowered. So Saturn has a very good aspect. It's the planet that gets you out of bed in the morning and lets you put on the same color socks and tells you you can do a radio show, and I can be on the other end of the phone with you. So that planet is about accountability. So you wouldn't want to move onto that line if you were retiring and you wanted to take it easy. But for where you are in life and rising up and getting busier and getting better known in your books and whatever, this is a perfect line for you to live on.
See, and I didn't think of it that way.
I'll find
I just kept getting the message that it was about focus. It was about focus. You can't be running around doing 500 things and not getting anywhere. That you need to, I guess, take control and be more, this is what I'm going to do, and then do it. That was kind of the message I got.
Yeah, it's perfect for you, for what you're doing. And when you want to retire lay back in the sunshine and get fat and drink margaritas or something, let me know. I'll find you the place where you can just go put some money in the slot machine. And no, I take that back. I don't want anybody calling me thinking I can do that. But, there are some places that are luckier than others for us, truthfully. There really are. And
we have a couple of seconds before our next break, and let me ask you this question because, and I don't even know what the word would be. I'll say Western astrology. The kind, working with the regular houses that most of us are familiar with. But there's also Vedic astrology.
Absolutely.
And Chinese astrology. And what's the difference, especially the Vedic? Because I think people see that and assume that it's the same thing. But it's really not, is it?
It's 23 degrees difference. They add 23 degrees. So in Western tradition, they subtract 23. I'm sorry. In Western astrology, I'm a Libra. In Vedic, I'm a Virgo. So it's like they subtract things. So your houses are different. But I've had my charts done by a couple of good Vedic astrologers, and it kind of wound up the same thing. Which sounds really weird, but somehow the overall life pattern or the flow didn't change that much. But they do. They give you stones that are lucky, and I kind of look at American Indian astrology along with traditional of you were born in the time of the, you were born in the time of the South, which is that huge time of growth and everything blooming and, the energy of summer, that's a vibrational part of you. And I was born in the time of the West, the time of the fall when things are dying back. And so there are 4 seasons in American Indian that have animals and colors and plants and numerology and everything that go with them. And I think that also flows very much into the kind of astrology I do. And the other kind, I got the book and I got the CD and I thought, oh my God, I can't keep up with what I'm doing here. And I was like you, how unfocused can I get? And still stay on track. One more thing, I'm learning herbs and all this other stuff. And so I just have 3 really good Vedic astrologers that I refer people to if that's what they want, and I tell them it has a lot of very good information.
So what about Chinese astrology? Like, I know that in Chinese astrology, I'm a boar. See, I'm not even going to say a pig, but neither of those sound very good.
I'm a goat.
Like the rooster, or the bunny. Well, I couldn't even see myself being a bunny. Like, hi, I'm the bunny. I don't think people would believe it if I said, oh, I'm a bunny.
Well, I'm a goat, and I think people would definitely believe that I'm a goat. So in Chinese astrology, you look at the animal and see how it gets along with the other animal.
Wax, we got to go take a break again.
Okay, good.
Okay. I'm Dr. Rita Louise. We're talking to Carol Barbeau about astrology, but we need to take a break, and we'll be back after these words from our sponsors.
Just Energy Radio with your host, Dr. Rita Louise, will return right after these messages.
Start the year off right by visiting livinggrocery.com. Experience the miracle of real nutrition as it helps you to lose weight and improve your overall health. Don't mess with pills or capsules. We provide the highest quality, all-natural, organic foods that come ready to eat. And best of all, it's delivered straight to your door. Visit livinggrocery.com now and experience your own amazing transformation. The International Association of Medical Intuitives is an organization dedicated to connecting you with professional medical intuitives from around the world. So if you're feeling ill and under the weather or are looking to join a professional organization such as this, Visit www.medicalintuitives.net. That's www.medical-intuitives.net.
Are you in the middle of a messy divorce? Do you think your spouse is trying to hide money, possessions, or property from you? Call America Fine today. America Fine will give you an accurate picture of your spouse's assets. We can help you locate any hidden bank accounts, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, or safety deposit boxes that have been concealed from you in the courts. The reality is, the court can only divide what it knows exists. Be smart and take control of your future. Make sure everything is put on the table before you step into the courtroom. Just call us today, toll-free at 888-256-2155, and in less than 24 hours, we'll give you peace of mind. Let America Fine help you get the fair judgment you deserve.
Finally, there's a healing and ascension tool that delivers real results faster than you ever dreamed possible. Guaranteed. Feel your body release those lingering physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual blockages. Sense a profound awakening to your next level of intuition and oneness with your higher self. Discover Archangel Metatron's Healing and Ascension CDs at AtlantisHealthCenters.com. Visit AtlantisHealthCenters.com today.
Are you looking for a fresh, innovative approach to behavior, health, and happiness? Well, look no further. Introducing PerceptionIsEverything.com. We offer convenient hours, one-on-one service, and numerous ways to achieve a healthier, happier life. That's PerceptionIsEverything.com. 1-877-945-1331.
You can get a copy of Dr. Rita's latest book, Avoiding the Cosmic 2x4, by visiting www.soulhealer.com. Get your copy today.
And now back to Just Energy Radio with Dr. Rita Louise.
Welcome back to Just Energy Radio. I'm Dr. Rita Louise, and we're speaking here with Carol Barbeau of CarolBarbeau.com, the world's greatest astrologer extraordinaire. Anyway, Carol.
Yes.
Still there?
No, I'm bowled over by your statement. But thank you. That was a very Leo statement.
And you know, now that you just made that comment, anybody that is interested, you know, you have your newsletter, but you also write a column for my newsletter that has like a monthly update of astrology stuff. So if you're interested in seeing some of Carol's work, you know, you can sign up for my newsletter or your newsletter and have them delivered direct to your email box.
And I try really hard to put it as much in English, and if anybody thinks I get too astrology out there, haul me back, because, you know, information is no good unless you can assimilate it. So I think of planets as energy, as signs, as a way to put the energy forward, and astrology as the tides, the cosmic tides that are out there. So I would like everybody to be a little bit more of knowing when the tide is coming in, so they wouldn't be working so hard to get their boat out during that time.
Well, you know, one of the things that I really like that you do is that you'll put in like a color for the day, or, you know, you might want to work with this stone. You know, you put in alternative things or things that can help empower people, you know, if it's a phase of stress or a phase of disjointed energy, or if it's a phase of good energy. It's like, you know, this will amplify it, you know, and I think that that's very cool.
Well, it's, you know, there's a combination of things, and if we would just use a little bit more of the natural, color has effect on us. I mean, that's just a known fact. What color you wear not only affects you, it affects the people that are looking at you. I've known from doing shows of wearing a certain color, and the people just flock to you at the shows, or you wear a certain color and people are a little more hesitant about approaching you at a show where there's thousands of people or something. So I've always thought color, and I've always been hooked into stones. I've been picking up rocks since I was a little kid, and we used to go on vacations to Colorado. So when I began to feel that they did certain things, of course, I began to buy books and study and read. And to me, there's great power in anything of nature. So I think rocks are of nature.
So let me ask you this question. You know, if I kind of know about astrology, but for someone that really, all they've ever done is read their horoscope in the Sunday paper or, in the back of Cosmo, if they want to kind of take their next step, what would be something very simple that they could do, themselves? For example, when I started playing with astrology, I, had my chart, so I knew what my ascendant was, and I knew what my moon was, and because the ascendant, correct me if I'm wrong, is how the world sees you, and then the moon is more your emotional space. And so, I'd have my Cosmo magazine or my, Sunday paper, and I'd, read my Leo thing, read my little sun sign, and then I would read and I had this little order. I would read my ascendant and go, okay, this is how people are seeing me, and I'd read that, and then go, okay, but this is my emotional piece, and I would read that, and, and I felt like I was pretty cool because no one I knew did that. But, would that be something people can do, or do you have any suggestions if they want to, start bringing in some new information for themselves?
The first step would be to find out their ascendant or their rising sign, and to recognize that often that will be in more alignment with what's going on around them. Some people think astrology is no good because they read their sun sign, and like me, their sun is way over in the 11th house of groups, so that thing might be going on with me with groups, but it's not what's going on with me. So finding out your rising sign and beginning to read that each day, and you're going to find, or each month or whatever, and you're going to find that that's going to give you a lot more information. I've never done sun sign astrology for any column simply because I think it chases more people away from astrology when the information is just totally wrong. And your rising sign is going to be more right on for you. That's going to be better. So I do astrology by what's going on universally in the day. So it's going to tell you what you're going to maybe meet up with on the freeway and at work, and that it's a night that most people are going to be having wild dreams or something like that, rather than try to say, okay, all of you Leos out there are going to get lucky tonight if you go out. I just always thought, wow, that's, we could just have every bar in the world have every Leo show up. Nothing but that. Or,
and it's interesting because every so often, I'd read, my horoscope for the day, and sometimes it would be like scary. Just scary because, or I'd read it the next day, for the day before, and it'd be like, okay.
And it's who's writing.
You don't want your friends to read it because they'll know everything that just happened because it was so true.
Well, and it's who's writing those, too. I have, somebody told me once that somebody who I liked quite a bit that owned a well-known store here said, oh, Carol's the psychic astrologer. She just doesn't just rely on astrology. Like that was not a good thing. And I thought, well, you have a lot of astrologers out there that got into this because they are very, very intuitive. So some of the people that are writing that I also think the Daily Ohm is a wonderful thing, and that often is so on. So there are some very intuitive people writing out there right now that are just kind of hooked into this universal flow, like yourself.
So, Carol, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you very quickly, because we're almost out of time, how would they do that?
Just my email is carolastro, CarolAstro, at Verizon, VERIZON.net. I also have an email, and they can contact me through carolbarbeau.com, my website, too.
Excellent. Carol, thank you so much for coming on the show. I just really appreciate you sharing your expertise with all of our listeners. And I know that there is so much more that we could talk about, regarding astrology, and we just barely scratched the surface of what's going on.
Well, thank you for having me, and we'll get together one-on-one and talk about some of this next week.
Sounds perfect.
Okay, you have a great evening.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Okay, next week we have Shoshana Katzman coming on talking about finding energetic balance through Chinese medicine, and Herman Mueller from Australia talking about the magic of mind-body communication. I'm Dr. Rita Louise. This is Just Energy Radio. Till next Friday, be blessed.
Join host Dr. Rita Louise each week at this time for Just Energy Radio. Point your browser to www.justenergyradio.com for more show information and to contact Dr. Rita. Until next time, remember, it's all just energy.